It's like this desperate feeling that I tried to escape. This heartbreak over a place that's so different. Now it doesn't feel like the same place. None of my third grade classmates understood why I would want a shotgun for my birthday. Every time I step out of the truck with the dogs, there's this piece of me that just feels totally content.
One of the reasons I love hunting in Montana is because of the large open landscapes and the fact that you can be watching your dogs going up and down hillsides and mountains.
My grandmother was a great bird hunter and fly fisherman. You know, she lived back in the 20s, so she had that passion. So, you know, it's what's been passed down to me, and then it's so much fun to share it with someone else.
The Henry's Fork is considered essentially the finest fly fishing river in the world. And I was fortunate enough to guide here more than 25 years ago. But the cool thing that I can do now is to see all these things through my son's eyes as he's experiencing them for the first time.
All of my fly fishing stories have to do with people I love and people I've fished with. I think my favorite ones are the ones that I have with my daughters. It's all about having a good time and enjoying being out there together. And it's a great way to spend your life.
There's a continuity that human beings have always had in the past, where families passed along special places with their children and with their grandchildren. And that's never really been in doubt before. Yet anybody who's aware can look at these incredible landscapes and say, man, there's something wrong here.
The things that I've noticed in my short lifetime is the dramatic effect of the temperatures that we've had. I mean, the summer range of sharp-tailed grouse has shifted up to the north because of the temperature changes that we're experiencing. So it's a big deal in nature.
When we went out hunting this year, the first 3 weeks, it was brutal. There was not a drop of dew on our boots. It was so dry, the grass was crunchy. The birds were hard to find.
It wasn't that we didn't have enough rain. We had nothing until the fall. It just turned dry and it was a fire hazard constantly.
It was in the 90s in mid-September, and the dogs were hot, and we weren't happy either. It was miserable.
I don't know how many hundreds of fires there were in Montana, but I think they were counted in hundreds. It seemed like there was smoke all summer long.
A lot of public land closed down this year due to the fire risk. It's hard to spend any time outside when the wildfire smoke is so bad.
It's almost like this litany that goes season by season, because you start out here in the Rockies with, man, you know what, our snows are coming later than they used to. And then you move into, God, it's not as cold as it used to be. No wonder all those beetles are surviving and decimating our forests. Then as you get into spring, you're like, man, it's getting warmer way, way earlier. When that starts melting your snow and you're so dependent upon snow and so dependent on water storage up in the mountains, yeah, that is a bad thing. And so our runoff comes earlier. That means less water in the summertime, and warm water holds less oxygen. And it stresses the fish. And so not only is that bad for the fish, it's bad for the fishermen. They shut down rivers here in Montana. They shut down rivers all across the northern Rockies. That was unheard of 30 years ago, 40 years ago. There are just tons and tons of scientific organizations, National Academy of Sciences, NOAA, NASA, who look at this stuff day in and day out, and who do the hard work, who do the work based on science and facts and numbers, who tell us we're doing this to ourselves.
It makes me feel bad that people don't want to recognize that or show any sort of concern for the outdoors that, you know, is a pretty big deal in the United States.
You know, it's pretty much cultural suicide, and we seem to be okay with that, and I'm not okay with that, and I think we need to work to change that.
You know, the United States is so unique in its lifestyle that we get to pursue these things and enjoy them. And it's not only an economic driver for society, and it pays its taxes, but it's what people like to do. It's how Americans like to live.
It is so much a part of our lives.
Keeping that three-way bond between me, the dogs, and the land alive is absolutely worth fighting for.
We're very lucky, and this is yours, and it's yours to lose. I mean, this is our home, and none of those other things matter unless we protect that first.
It's like, what can I do about this? Well, as a hunter or an angler, I can speak up, so I try and do that as much as I can.
We absolutely need to be talking about climate change and the effect that that's going to have on our experiences outside and the landscape.
We should all be seeing it. It's so right there. It's truly becoming independent of fossil fuels that's going to do the trick.
There's no better country to figure out how to do that than the United States. And why not? It's going to be easier to deal with it today than it is tomorrow.
Why would you not want to be more efficient in your use of energy? It seems crazy not to.
Alternative energy sources are soaring above fossil fuels right now in terms of what they're doing for our economy and what our future can look like. The number one thing that we can do, and I really feel like we have to do, is contact your elected leadership. Say, I'm doing what I can, and I need you to be on board with this as well.
I think we really do have a moral obligation to leave the next generations a world that is thriving and healthy, and shame on us if we leave them a diminished world.